Kawhi and LeBron are two of the greatest players of the 2010s. I'd maybe put both top 5. Every time they're on the court together, it's always a great watch, which makes it more of a shame that we haven't gotten to see a battle of LA in the playoffs just yet. These two have had one of the fiercest on-court rivalries this decade, which is pretty mad on its own. One was drafted first overall, labeled as the chosen one, the one that could be the heir to Michael Jordan, arguably the most hyped rookie of all time. The other was a quiet, defensive guy with questionable offense, taken 15th overall in the 2011 NBA draft, when LeBron was already a 2-time MVP. But Kawhi quickly turned into a two-way monster and managed to lift himself into the same stratosphere, and even got one up on the king in just his 3rd year. So now let's see when it all went uphill for Kawhi, the series that turned Kawhi Leonard from role player to superstar. Just 1 year out from making LeBron make this expression when he saw him check in. The time that Kawhi Leonard finally showed LeBron James who's the boss. So let's set the stage. LeBron James was the bona fide best player in the league, and no one really came close. He was just 1 season removed from winning his 4th MVP in 5 years, as well as his 2nd championship and finals MVP. From being the biggest villain and the joke of the league after choking against the Dallas Mavericks, to being the consensus best player in the league after winning 2 rings on the bounce, after defeating the great San Antonio Spurs the previous season, giving the historic franchise its first ever NBA Finals loss in history, LeBron was the face of the NBA, and on top of the world. The previous year's finals run, though, wasn't as definitive as he would have liked it. In fact, it was a damn close series that the Heat almost lost in Game 6. If not for...
Won't go! Rebound box! Back out to Allen! His three-pointer! Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds!
But people do tend to gloss over the fact that Bron put up these stats in Game 7 of that series to clinch the championship. Anyway, it was a close-ass series, and in a lot of people's eyes, it shouldn't have been, because the Spurs were full of old vets in the twilight of their careers. However, the reason that the Heat had a tough time that series, besides the Spurs team basketball and lockdown defense, was because LeBron James was dragged to the limit and was made to work for every stat by one man, Coach Pop's young secret weapon at the time, Kawhi Leonard. Even if he was just a 2nd-year player in those finals, he showed he was capable of stepping it up in the playoffs, always stepping up and putting up better performances than his regular season ones. And in that final series, the first of his career, he was tasked to guard the best player in the world, and he delivered, making life hell for the king. So much so that he was caught on camera with this when he saw the young, skinny Kawhi check back in. And there, Coach Pop knew that he had the matchup for LeBron for the pretty inevitable rematch the next year. So, 2014 NBA season. The San Antonio Spurs looked the best they've looked in years. Ball movement was phenomenal. Defense was as good as ever. Every player had their designated role, and they fit the system perfectly. Tony Parker, being the level-headed point guard, led the team in scoring in the regular season. Tim Duncan, in his twilight years, still being their best big and putting up 15, 10, and 3. Manu being that whirlwind off the bench and the perfect foil for TP. A young Patty Mills with his hot hands off the bench too. Danny Green and Marco Bellinelli were the snipers on the wings and the corners. But of course, a profile that every team desperately needs, a do-it-all small forward. A defensive ace capable of guarding the positions 1 to 4, who can handle the ball, create, and shoot. Pippen, Dr. J, LeBron James. The Spurs also had that perfect profile with them. That, of course, being Kawhi Leonard. 3rd year Kawhi was putting up 13 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 2 assists, all improvements, while maintaining 1.7 steals a game. He'd end that season with his second all-defensive team selection. On the way to helping the Spurs grab 62 wins, top of the West, include an 18-game winning streak just before the end of the regular season. They'd defeat Dirk's Mavs, Dame's Blazers, and MVP Kevin Durant's OKC Thunder to set up one last dance in the finals against LeBron James and the Miami Heat.
And the way that it happened so fast, with Ray Allen shot, obviously, and then you won in Game 7. Man, that summer, it was so long that summer. Yeah. It was so long.
We were a few seconds away from winning the championship, and we let it go.
Safe to say, the Spurs are raring to have that rematch with the Miami Heat. Fortunately, the Heatles cut through the East like a hot knife on butter once again to set up Heat versus Spurs 2. They want us, so they got us, LeBron said. And Kawhi was silent. As silent as he always is, just focused on the task at hand. The task of ending the Heat dynasty and showing LeBron James who's boss. And he did exactly that, right from the get-go. Leonard finished with 9 points and 2 rebounds, that 15-point win. But his stats don't matter, not as much as the great defense he played on LeBron. He was physical, but not violent. He was smart and tough at the same time. Like here, he's very physical with Bron without fouling, pestering him and blocking his vision with those huge hands. Here, his eyes are on the ball, which is pretty important. But he's not just ball watching, because he also kept track of that LeBron cut to the basket, forcing him to post up and even into a turnover. Here, 3-on-1 fast break. Miami really should have scored, but Kawhi stood his ground, kept vertical, and prevented the conversion. LeBron finished with 25 points, but the defensive toughness was established. Next game was a narrow 98-96 win for the Heat, with James scoring 35 points. However, games 3 and 4 wouldn't nearly be as close, because Spurs ball movement was maybe the best team basketball the NBA had ever seen.
Going coast to coast, back out splitter. Wild pass out to Mills. Patty Mills finding Leonard in the corner. That's a three. Kawhi Leonard. Anderson is on James now. On Duncan, I should say. Leonard finishes strong.
A 19-point Spurs win in Game 3 was powered by Kawhi Leonard's then career-high 29 points, while still maintaining his stellar defense on James.
Up the team and came up with a big W on the road in Game 2. LeBron James differently than they did last year in the finals. Their interim, their great job of fighting over screens is a foul, but it's no problem because once again, one-on-one defense, no direct line drive.
Just hounding James on defense, disrupting any type of offensive flow for the Heat. And that's just the entire story of the 2014 NBA Finals, with Game 3 being his best playoff game so far. He went on to have a 20-point, 14-rebound game in a lopsided Game 4 to take San Antonio one step from completing the revenge season. The Spurs had a tremendous chance of getting redemption for last year's blown finals, with all the momentum on their side. The Heat, barring LeBron James, looking dispirited and every bit as old as they were. And Kawhi Leonard, he's saved the best for last, because now that he's back in the driver's seat, the Claw will make sure that he's not gonna lose it again. And when LeBron fired the Heat up 16 in the first quarter, threatening yet another series comeback, Kawhi Leonard locked in.
Away, Leonard will try a three.
Is on Ray Allen. His hands have to be high to redirect the pass because Battier and the weak.
Leonard goes at Wade, side steps, feet inside the split. Minutes as he can handle.
Thank you, Mike.
Alley-oop, Diaw to Leonard. And Leonard up on him. Lewis sets a good screen. James drives, can't finish. Leonard the rebound. Leonard for three. Bang!
Yeah, but LeBron James is getting it done. He's got 19. He's going to the line right now. But what do you want is you want a guy who, even when he's getting it handed to him at times, is to be into him. Give no ground. Persevere. Be persistent. That's exactly what Leonard is holding.
Wade goes to dunk. Rebound Leonard. His ninth quarter of the game. Leonard pushes out to Ginobili. Puts it in.
22 points, 10 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. Not mentioning the absolutely stifling defense he put on LeBron James. Kawhi Leonard. When the lights shone brightest, there was the opportunity to take glory. But there was also the opportunity to choke it all away. The Claw delivered. He delivered emphatically in a 17-point win to cap off a dominant finals win with the largest average point differential in NBA history. And he gets to hear these words in just his 3rd year in the league.
You are the 2014 Bill Russell MVP.
More importantly, he gets to hear those words in front of LeBron James himself in the day that he showed the king who the Claw really was, when Kawhi Leonard showed LeBron James who the boss is.